This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on June the 13th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some pretty good information for you tonight. So let's just jump over here to my Murtech on Rumble channel. Here we go. This is my Rumble channel. This is the video we're going over tonight, episode 1947. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it, so let's just go ahead and jump into this. Alrighty, and let me close out the live chat here, slide down here, and open up the description box where we have information from Glenn Beck, Matt Morse TV, Robert Gouveia, and the Mel K Show. But before we get into that, I do have some shout outs to give from TS Bomb. Just started following my channel, and 8040 just started following my channel. SNA VAR just started following my channel. RUCJC146 just started following my channel. Love to the end, I guess. Just started following my channel. Roco Dog 50 just started following my channel. And Dirty Carpenter just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. All right, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1946. Murtech Intel commented on my daily news wrap-up. Foxy Grandma, Debbie BS commented on my episode 1946. Debbie BS, Murtech Intel, and Cotton Ball 31 commented on my Extra 729A. Debbie BS and Murtech Intel commented on my Extra 729B. And got this down here twice, but actually it was Debbie BS and Murtech Intel commented on my Extra 729C. So let me thank you all for your comments and reposting my video. I appreciate your support, and I definitely enjoy reading your feedback. So let me go ahead and give that a thumbs up. Alrighty here. Let's see what Glenn Beck has to say about, he just saw Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Is it a government PSYOP? This is the movie that's supposed to be talking about how the government is releasing information on the UFOs, but let's see what Glenn Beck has to say about it.
I saw Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's new film last night, and it's good. It's very good. It's Steven Spielberg. It's not his best. Everybody's like, oh, it's the best film he's ever made. No, it's not. It's not. But not his best is still better than most movies that are out. Okay, so it's worth seeing. With that, I'm not going to blow anything, but with that, some moments in this are just downright stupid. The kind of make you question if did Spielberg see the final edit of this? And when you'll know it when you see it, because there are a couple of Jar Jar Binks level stupid calls in this movie. Grown adults hiding behind a leafless bush in a split rail fence while being hunted. The people are on the other side of the fence, and they're just crouched down behind a split rail fence and a bush with no leaves. Or they're hiding behind a rock, literally about 7 feet away. They had a chance to escape, but they wanted to see what happened. So they're standing behind this rock while everybody's searching for him. It's like, please, did Spielberg watch this movie? Anyway, in the end, you'll find the aliens more believable than some of the humans, but go see it. They're dead. That's and it's only a couple of scenes, quickly. They go by, you're just like, oh, come on. But here's what I recommend. If you want your money's worth, don't go out and watch the 9 o'clock show or the 8 o'clock show. Go to dinner and then go reverse that. Go to the 6 or 7 o'clock show and then go have dinner and invite some friends that, can think. Invite some friends to go with you and go see the movie, then sit down at dinner. And then, because I'm telling you, the real story, not in this, it's conversation that will just pull right out of you. It opens, and no spoiler alert needed here. The world is at DEF CON 2. one step from the brink. It's a sub. Or is it? I think the movie would say yes, but I'm not so sure. But DEFCON 2, in case you don't know, only time in American history we've ever had it is Strategic Air Command has confirmed DEFCON 2 only one time in our history, and that's the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. DEFCON 1 is we're at full war, nuclear war. DEFCON 2 is without going to war, it is when everything, the rockets are juiced and ready to take off. All the planes that need to be up in the air are in the air. We just have to call them back. It's that kind of thing. Most people in the theater missed what happened at the end. And I won't tell you what happened at the end. But the disclosure is over. The chases, take over the whole movie. And that opening fear of DEFCON 2 kind of vanishes by the final credits. It's there. And it's not sloppy writing. I think it's misdirection. It's the magician's other hand. The story tells you what you're supposed to fear in the first 5 minutes and then walks you right past it while you're staring at a spectacle. Okay. Now, in reality, and I don't believe this is what's happening here, but people are like, this movie, and it's just softening up. If this movie was built to soften you up for disclosure, then the ending is really important, and you might miss the whole point on what the government would want you to do in case of disclosure, real or a PSYOP. Okay. There's also in the movie a religious angle that I'm not really sure I'm all that comfortable with. I am comfortable with it being presented in the movie the way it was presented. It's just, these are all conversations we have to have. Okay. And this part is, more to the surface, and it's pretty unavoidable. And the question is, if there are aliens, are they from God? Now hold that thought, because this is where the movie stops being entertainment and starts asking harder questions about the world we're actually living in. And there's two theories that I think are worth mentioning here: predictive programming and cultivation theory. Okay. There is an old idea called predictive programming. It was popularized by researcher Alan Watt. And the idea is that entertainment can preload the public with ideas. You put concepts into films and shows and stories year in advance. So when something similar appears in reality, it feels familiar, almost inevitable. We've seen it with the X-Files. Okay. Yeah, it's like an episode of the X-Files. Okay. That's what they mean, preloading you. So you don't necessarily freak out. I've seen it said when it happens, you're like, I've seen this before. I've seen this movie before, right? Now, skeptics rightly point out that this can become a conspiracy lens that explains everything, therefore doesn't explain anything, all right? But you don't have to go full fringe to see something real here. The Department of Defense and the CIA have had an official entertainment liaison office for decades. Did you know that? They are brought in to help shape stories, and it's not a shadowy conspiracy. It's out there. They're given jets and bases and technical advisors for their movies, and in exchange, they shape the stories for the government. And this is documented policy. Hollywood gets access, government gets their understanding of influence. Okay. Now, the second theory is cultivation theory. This one was developed by a guy named George Grubner, and he was at the University of Pennsylvania. Decades of research on this shows that, now listen to this, heavy media consumption doesn't just entertain, it cultivates reality. Heavy media consumption. What are most people doing 8 hours every day? They are scrolling and staring and consuming media. This research shows that heavy viewers develop mean world syndrome, where everything is a danger. They overestimate the danger, crime, threats. They become more fearful, more dependent, and more open to strongman measures. Fear sells, fear shapes. Grubner testified in front of Congress that fearful people are easier to manipulate and control. Psychologists have studied this for years and years and years. Repeated exposure to threats in media can desensitize or heighten anxiety depending on the framing. So, wars, crisis, existential threats, stories in prime to prime populations, and it primes them to accept changes they might otherwise resist. Look how our country has been primed: Nazi, 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 Nazi. What does that do? That primes you to turn on your neighbor. That primes you to excuse violence. Okay? This isn't magic. This is human psychology. And it plays a heavy, heavy role in our society and our culture today. So, I don't know if this is all of this stuff that you're seeing now with the UFOs, if it's natural or being fed to us, but we know stuff is being fed to us through our algorithms intentionally. Also, think about Orson Welles. Orson Welles, 1938, War of the Worlds. What was the lesson we were supposed to learn from that? We were taught that War of the Worlds with Orson Welles caused mass panic, people fleeing into the streets, believing Martians has landed, blah, blah, blah. But that's not true. Only about 2% of the country was even tuned in. It was War of the Worlds and Orson Welles and the Mercury Radio Theater was something that was up against the hardest show. A radio show done by a ventriloquist, Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen. I mean, I know it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. It's like Lawrence Welk. We're being beaten by a guy with an accordion. Yeah. Anyway, 2% were listening to Orson Welles. The panic was tiny. It was real, but it was tiny. Okay. The legend that there was mass panic, where did that come from? Listen to this. Newspapers. Newspapers who were losing advertising revenue to radio during the Depression. And newspapers seized the broadcast to paint radio as reckless and untrustworthy. You mean like the way cable news paints podcasters? So the hysteria wasn't about public gullibility. It was about one medium manufacturing fear to destroy a rival. The lesson we supposedly learned was wrong. The real lesson is always ask who profits from the fear. President Reagan, he said in 1987, he was at the United Nations, and he said that all of our earthly differences would vanish if we would face an alien or an alien threat from the outside of the world. Okay? A sitting president musing out loud about unity through extraterrestrial fear. Back in 1960, the Brookings Institute delivered a report to NASA on the implications of discovering extraterrestrial life. And this is in the movie. I mean, they don't quote this, but this is implied in the movie. What they found in 1960, they warned the government that if you talk about aliens and you confirm them, it could destabilize our entire society. It would challenge religious and cultural foundations, and that leaders would, should carefully consider if they're going to release the information. That's what this whole movie is about. Okay, the fight between somebody who wants the information released and somebody who doesn't want the information released, and which one is right. This conversation is 65 years old, and it happened in government buildings on the record in the 1960s. Okay, we've been seeing a steady drumbeat of disclosure that is happening. I don't know what's real and what's not. Pentagon is releasing footage, congressional hearings talk of, and I'm quoting, non-human biologics. What? A government who has been denying this for decades suddenly decides to open the door? Why? And who profits from fear?
All right, there you have it, folks. That's something to keep in mind if you watch that movie. I probably won't go out to a movie theater to see it, but there you have it. Let me show you that this video comes from Glenn Beck. This is a video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I'm subscribed to his channel on YouTube. I hope you do the same for me. All right, let's jump back here. We've got Debbie BS and Viper Senior joined us in the chat. Anybody else wants to jump in there, by golly, feel free to do so. Okay, Matt Morse TV, I just started sharing his information on Murtech.com. Sanctuary cities are officially done. Well, let's hope so. Let's see what he has to say.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever stopped to think and consider what the term sanctuary state actually means? Sanctuary city. What does it mean? Well, are all of these sanctuary cities, are these cities sanctuaries for actual hardworking everyday Americans who are just trying to go to work and live their lives and raise their families in peace? No, of course not. These sanctuary cities are really only sanctuaries for criminally delinquent, oftentimes violent illegal aliens that are being protected by the Democrats. However, for all of us actual legitimate Americans, well, these sanctuary cities, as they're called, they're pretty much hell on earth, which is why today it's such a big deal that just this morning, President Trump's DHS, his Department of Homeland Security, has pretty much just declared war on all of these sanctuary cities. Now, we're going to break all of that down, but first, make sure to like today's video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But now with that out of the way, let's start taking a look at some of today's bombshell statements from the DHS. First off, talking about all of the children that went missing during the Democrats' recent leadership of this country during the during the Biden administration. Ladies and gentlemen, first off, DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, take a listen.
We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to. It's because of President Trump's leadership. It's horrific to what's happening right in the country because of 4 years of a blind eye that allowed unvetted sponsors to come pick up 450,000 kids on our borders, knowing their reports, why the Biden administration was in office, their own reports was reporting that over a third of the females, regardless of age, was assaulted before they made it to their border. They knew it was human traffickers that were trafficking these young kids to the border, and then they were unvetting or refusing to vet the so-called sponsors, and there was 0 wellness checks. And they want to claim that Republicans, because we're enforcing the laws, is inhumane somehow? What's inhumane about taking care of our kids? As a father of 6 with 3 young girls, I will do whatever I have to do. I will move heaven and hell to go find these kids.
Folks, what the Biden administration, and namely Mayorkas, did to this border. I mean, hey, you had border czar Kamala Harris. It's all of them. These people are traitors. What these people did, I don't know, you want to say it's humanitarian crisis. It's sick what Mayorkas and Biden and Kamala Harris allowed to happen. He said 450,000 missing children, tens or dozens or perhaps even hundreds of thousands of them brutalized in some of the most violent, terrible, disgusting ways possible. Thank God we're cracking this down. Now, this is where we get directly to the sanctuary cities and what we're going to start doing about them. Folks, take a listen to this.
You know, I tell people that I haven't quit smiling since I've been Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, but I have to take that back because when we start digging into these cases and you start hearing the absolute horrific things that took place underneath the Biden administration, under true neglect at best and criminal at worst, to allow 450,000 kids to go missing throughout this country. President Trump has made it a point to go find these kids. And because of our partnership with HHS and DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, truly using the best of the best, which the Democrats sometimes want to demonize because a lot of times this is ICE, this is HSI, this is CBP. These individuals that the Democrats seem to want to defund, but because of President Trump, we finally funded them for 3 years. We're able to push and go find these kids. We found 146,000 kids so far.
Wow.
146,000 kids. We still have nearly 300,000 missing. We're investigating reports to where some of these kids claim that 600 to 700 times. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids. I don't care if you're liberal, you're independent, you're a Democrat, you're Republican. If you can't stand for law enforcement to go find these kids, who are you? Who are you? Every leader should understand what's going on. And do you know where we're finding the most of them? Sanctuary cities. Because they know they're safe. That's why they're called sanctuary cities. Because of President Trump's leadership, we're going into those sanctuary cities. We have mayors like Mandami in New York who want to say, you're not welcome. As a mayor, he knows what's happening on the streets. He knows who he's harboring, and at this point in abating. By saying that we can't go operate, we're going to. We're going to go find the worst of the worst. We're going to rescue as many kids as we possibly can. We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to.
Folks, I got to say, you know what pops in my head right now? One of the most common far-left Democrat talking points, which is just so stupid, but they say it nonetheless. They say, the Trump administration is really the Epstein administration. Epstein administration. Have you heard that? Completely nonsensical, ridiculous, moronic. Fact of the matter is this. There is not a single presidential administration in the history of this country that has done more, period, to stop the exploitation of children. Matter of fact, 450,000, almost 500,000 went missing in 4 years. What is that, 115,000 kids a year going missing along our southern border? 4 years during the Biden administration. The Democrats were in charge. Trump is back now. We've already been able to find and bring back to safety, what he said, about 150,000 of them. We're still looking for the rest. No one has done more for the well-being of children than the Trump administration. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts. End of discussion. Matter of fact. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got this statement here from the Department of Homeland Security this morning as well. The message from New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, who works in tandem with Mamdani, Kami Mamdani, and her fellow sanctuary politicians is clear. Criminal illegal aliens are welcome in New York. We love them. These policies have made New Yorkers less safe. Matter of fact, this is why I'm showing you this, folks, because the Homeland Security page here also posted this. These are the public safety threats Governor Hochul is fighting to protect. They post a link here, dhs.gov/New York. We got it open here. You are not going to believe this. Arrested. We have a DHS Trump administration public database. They just put this out. Arrested for the worst of the worst. Just in New York. Take a look at this. You can see names. You can see faces. These are the people. And you have hundreds of them. Okay? You've got 92 pages of arrests made by ICE, deported violent, criminally delinquent, illegal aliens just in New York. Not the entire nation, just in New York. Who's this guy? Forgery. This guy, robbery, illegal reentry, damaged property, driving under the influence, burglary, weapons offense, fraud, identity theft, sex offense, gang affiliation, Tren de Aragua, dealing dangerous drugs. All of them snatched off the streets, arrested, deported, get them out of this country, led into the country by the Democrats, the Biden administration. Now we're snatching them up, getting rid of them. These, it just goes on and on, page after page after page. Names, faces, country of origin. What are their crimes? Assault, sex assault, obscene, This guy. You want this? Look at that right there. I don't even want to say it. You want this guy to be your next door neighbor in the apartment living next to you in New York City? I don't want any of these people. This is what we're talking about. Now, but of course, to make all of this happen, to actually arrest these people and get them off the streets, We need to make sure that the DHS remains operational and funded, which we just did to the tune of $70 billion a couple days ago. Take a look at this.
And, you know, this is President Trump's vision. He understood exactly what the Democrats' play is. Unfortunately, sometimes Republicans were not always looking 1 year, 2 years, 3 years down the road like the Democrats do. Because of President Trump's vision through OB3 and then seeing their hand here by trying to defund CBP, which is our Custom Border Protection, and ICE, which is our Immigration Custom Enforcement arm. What President Trump said is, let's just fund this, take this off the table rather than continue being shut down, which, by the way, we're shut down for over 100 days. We have individuals that haven't been paid in those agencies since February. And because of President Trump's vision, him leaning forward into the Senate, making sure that we're just going to take this off the table and not allow the Democrats to play games with our homeland anymore, not allow them to play games with our agencies anymore, and say we're going to fund it for 3 years. And then the Democrats obviously is going to come out and say that they're a rogue agency, but yet all we're doing simply is enforcing the laws that Congress passed.
That's right. Here's a very pertinent question here, folks. Has the Trump administration, has Congress signed into effect any new border security legislation? Do we have any new border laws that we didn't have before? No, we have the same border laws. Now we're just actually enforcing them. It's no surprise the Democrats don't want to fund DHS. They want the border open. These people are as anti-American as anyone could possibly be. They want you and your family and every single actual American inside of this country to be terrorized and replaced, ultimately terrorized and replaced by God knows how many immigrants from the third world. They want you gone. And that is why they are doing every single thing that they've done. That's why they open up the border. That's why they try to shut down and defund ICE and CBP and DHS. It's important to keep in mind, what is their end game? That's what they want. Folks, thank God the Trump administration is taking this stuff seriously. Thank God we have a real, actual, serious America First president sitting inside the Oval Office right now, putting America first.
All right, there you have it, folks. Yeah, I'm sorry that you got blocked from Matt Morse's channel. So I sometimes, you know, like I said, I got blocked from Dr. Steve Turley. Once in a while I go to their videos or their live chats and I mention in there that I'm sharing their information. And I don't know, I guess he thought that was threatening. So he blocked me, so I couldn't say that. But, you know, whatever. At any rate, let's go ahead and jump here to Rumble. Click the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Matt Morse TV. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And looks like Blue Peahen has joined us. And Doc PT88 has joined us. So thank you very much for being in the chat. Let me close that out and slide down here and see what Robert Gouveia has to say about California rocked after massive homeless election fraud scam is busted. You might have seen this video about the homeless people that they pay $2 or $4 or $5. These homeless people will do this for $2? Okay, let's take a listen and see what this is all about from Robert Gouveia.
California election scam busted. You see this photograph from the dark horse candidate Nithya Raman, who is handing over a $600,000 check to an organization allegedly connected to the homeless. Damning link with homeless voters. And you add to that this other story from the New York Post saying that homeless people are now claiming that they have been paid to vote for Karen Bass and for Nithya Raman. And that is illegal under U.S. Code Section 597. Whoever makes or offers to make an expenditure to any person, either to vote or to withhold his vote or to vote for any candidate, and whoever solicits, accepts, or receives any such expenditure in consideration of his vote. So if you pay somebody, you're busted. If you take the money to vote, you're busted. Both of you shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not not more than 1 year or both. And if the violation was willful, you shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years or both. And they've got video of these homeless people admitting it. Skid Row homeless claim they've been paid to vote for Karen Bass and for Nithya Rahman. And they admit it openly. And this has been part of our thesis for a long time. You control the list. You can control where the ballots are sent. If it's universal registration, everybody gets a ballot. Here, take a ballot, have a ballot. No one cares. And if somebody at the homeless shelter doesn't actually vote that ballot, well, you just open it up and vote for them and sign it. We're going to show you they don't even check the signatures. You can draw a smiley face for all they care in California. So here is this montage of these homeless individuals who are now voting.
Although he just said that, you can use a smiley face, but I heard reports, and I think this was shared last night in my daily news wrap-up, that some Republicans got notification that their ballots had been rejected because their signatures didn't match in California, and they were the ones that signed it. They were bitching because they sent in their ballots to vote, and they got rejected because their signatures didn't match. I guess they only check Republicans' mail-in ballots and reject them regardless of whether their signatures match or not. But that's just some information that I wanted to pass on to you on that one.
In elections after having been paid to do so illegally in violation of federal law and California law.
You live in Skid Row?
I live in Skid Row.
Oh, and then did they come down here and try and pay you to vote?
Yes.
On a ballot?
Yes.
Oh, how much they pay you?
$5.
Oh, they said, here, come and vote for these candidates?
Yes, sir.
They told you who to vote for?
Yes.
So they told you to vote for Karen Bass or Nithya Rahman?
Karen Bass.
Did you vote for Karen Bass?
Yeah.
For $5?
Yeah.
Did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, you did for Karen Bass?
Yeah.
Karen? They told you to vote for Karen?
Yeah. They had to sign a little thing.
How much they pay you?
It was like $2.
$2? Oh, to sign off on a thing to vote for her?
Yeah.
So they'd say, oh, do you want to vote for Karen or Nithya? Or they just really just tell you to vote for Karen, huh?
But it was really promoting her, man. They gave you an optional choice, but they tell you who they want to vote for.
Or they tell you who you want to vote for. It's like, yo, we'll give you $2, but you got to vote for one of these people.
Well, I'm a barter, man. So I got $4.
And you're like, yo, give me $4 and I'll do it.
Yeah, why not?
And so they do this for everybody out here?
Yeah, they come out here all the time.
How often do they come down here?
Probably like 3 times a week.
3 times a week?
Hell,
To
yeah.
get the ballots?
Yeah.
Wow. And so you know other people too that voted too?
Actually, anybody's registered, dog eat dog.
So multiple election fraud felonies for $2, $4, $5 on both ends. And they're guilty for taking the money to vote. The people who paid them are guilty. And apparently they're 3 to 4 times a week, according to some estimates. Outside the midnight mission on Monday afternoon, the Post also met with Bo Jackson, who's registered to vote, but says, I can't even remember registering. I was on crack. Couldn't even name a candidate. Perfect. Here, I'll tell you the name. Vote for this person. They asked Midnight Mission staff, this location, how are ballots handled at your location when people arrive? But our reporter was kicked out and was left without a response. Hundreds of voters tied to supportive housing developments and affordable projects have all been identified through public records. Several locations also added nearly 200 voters during the final weeks before the deadline. 3 addiction centers and crisis providers also had voters. 80 registered voters across various other health and addiction facilities, naming them here the Corner of Hope Mental Health, Volunteers of America Alcohol Services, LA Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse, identifying 313 registered voters tied to addresses also associated with Los Angeles and more. Bill Esseley was out, another Democrat voter here, and they don't check. We talked about in a prior video here the ghost voter lawsuits that Judicial Watch filed against Shirley Weber saying we need you to check your lists. Federal law mandates you do that, but they don't because they'll find this. Said a bunch of these people were registered through various shelters and saying, this is what we've wanted. This is what we do. He said, this is literally what they built. If you don't like our system, don't yell at your local election officials. Go to Sacramento, yell at them, yell at the Secretary of State, because those are the people who write the laws that enable this. California law permits voters to do all of this, so it's not even like illegal. To return a completed ballot on their behalf, you can actually sign for other people. Voters can designate someone else to sign and complete their ballot on their behalf. But here's more on the video. Series of shocking videos show that they're all voting for the Democrats. California Post got copies of the videos from a TikTok account called Lane Needs Spencer Pratt. So I'm not sure who that was, actually. I thought this was the Post that found it, but they didn't. Footage was recorded near 7th Street in Flower Street. Also now been sent over to the DOJ. Hopefully people get charged. One shelter in Venice had 185 Rahman voters. They got 600 G's from Rahman. In one of the clips, a man who calls himself Kevin Shepard, he got $4. We saw that. He said he would also have been paid to vote for Rahman. He said yes, and said Spencer Pratt was not even among the candidates. They just said, no, you have to vote for one of these two. An optional choice, pick one, but it cannot be a Republican. Another person called Renee Johnson got $5. This is another person. I was just trying to make $5, you know, but I didn't do the fraud. Do you think it's fraud? She thought, well, it kind of feels like fraudulent behavior, because it is. She also said she thought people were being taken advantage of. Absolutely. Another woman who said that she was living on the street also claimed she accepted money to vote for Mayor Bass. It was like $2, and it's happening all over California, obviously. So it is illegal, as we read. 18 U.S. Code, Section 597 says you can't pay somebody to vote. If you do that, you're guilty. The person who's voting with your money, also guilty, and don't do it. A signature that the initial reviewer identifies as possessing multiple significant and obvious distinctive differing characteristics from the voter record shall only be rejected if two different election officials unanimously find beyond a reasonable doubt that the signature differs in multiple significant and obvious respects from all other signatures. So first of all, before you even raise it as a problem, check these other factors to say, oh, you know, it might not match because it's fast or they're old or they wrote on their lap or somewhere. But then if it's a real problem, go bring it to somebody else. That person has to agree with you. This thing is like a disaster. And they have to do it beyond a reasonable doubt, like a criminal trial. Only then can they say it's been rejected. So when evaluating signatures, then they may review using broad characteristics to evaluate an entire signature, or may narrow their scope in order to go into specific letters within a signature, which basically means nothing is actually getting checked. So the idea, as this woman is reporting, that Spencer Pratt voters are having all of their signatures rejected is a joke, because they accept everything. It takes two people to turn their keys to actually throw a signature out. And even then, it's got to be beyond a reasonable doubt, essentially the highest standard in our legal system. So it's a scam, obviously. So Bill Melugin was also responding to this. Governor Newsom was talking about a woman who literally registered her dog to vote and then got caught, said Gavin, but that's a lie. The woman is called Laura Yorex. She intentionally registered her dog to vote in an effort to expose California's weak voting safeguards, then reported herself to the city attorney after the dog's vote was literally successfully counted in 2021. So your dogs can vote and their votes actually count. Bill Melugin with a follow-up saying she did not get caught. She turned herself in. Her dog's mail-in ballot was successfully counted in the statewide election to recall Gavin Newsom, but it was then rejected in the 2022 primary. Proof of ID or residence is not required in California, but proof of residence and registration is required for first-time voters in a federal election. Only the dog's ballot in the federal election was rejected, but the dog's mail-in ballot was accepted for the California state election because it's California. So your dogs can go vote. Homeless people being paid a handful of money, your dog, you don't have to pay him anything. Just get him some treats and a pat in the head. Call him a real good boy. That's all you need in California. The whole thing's ridiculous. And today we had Act Blue CEO Regina Wallace, who is the same woman who we saw essentially fire half the staff or force them to resign after they said, you're committing fraud and you lied to Congress. You went in and testified and said, we're actually checking the data that's coming in on these credit cards to validate that they're actual U.S. citizens who are spending money in American elections. But today, Regina Wallace, this woman right here, was pleading the fifth all day long. And here is how this exchange went in Congress today.
Ms. Wallace-Jones, in 2023, I sent you this letter with 5 straightforward questions with a goal of confirming that foreign funds are not in our elections and that Act Blue had adequate fraud prevention measures in place. You replied a month later with a 4-page letter describing your fraud prevention policies and procedures that you had in place at Act Blue. But according to the New York Times, your response to this committee may have been false and misleading. Ms. Wallace-Jones, when you signed this letter to me, me. Did you believe that this letter was false and misleading?
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Of course.
Ms. Wallace-Jones, before you sent this letter, did you believe, was it brought to your attention that this letter that you sent me was false and misleading?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
Well, I think it's important for everybody here to know that according to the New York Times, you've been aware for quite a while that the response you made was likely false or misleading. Did you ever consider correcting the record for this committee when it was brought to your attention that your letter to me was false and misleading?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to the attorney-client privilege and my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
It's pretty interesting. So now you're following the advice of your legal counsel, but you didn't when they warned you that your letter to me was false and misleading.
And that's what we get from her. A steward of public election money, now pleading the Fifth because she does not want to go to jail and or prison.
All right.
California election scam.
There you have it, folks. Amazing. Now, back when COVID was rampant, they did some mail-in ballots here in Indiana. And I don't know if this works the same way in California, but there's some codes and lettering on the back of the envelope. And if you're a registered Republican, it's in red. And if you're a registered Democrat, those letters are blue. So they can tell immediately, without even opening it. Chances are, if it's red, you're going to be voting for people like Donald Trump. And if it's blue, in that particular situation, you would be voting for Biden. Now, I never used the mail-in ballots. I went and voted. But the thing is, that could very well have been a possibility. Viper Sr. said he heard that too in the chat, that the Republicans were getting notifications that their ballots were rejected because the signatures didn't match. So, I don't know. Let me click on this Rumble link here. Yeah, this isn't the... I held it too long. Let me jump back here. And I want to give Robert Gouveia credit where credit is due. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Robert Gouveia. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty, let's jump back here and see what else we have from Mel K. Suicidal empathy is the insanity of our times. That's interesting. Let's see what that's all about.
Okay, it's Friday. If you didn't know what that fun time was with Hassan Piker and the Democrat Socialists of America, it was a big festival, I guess, of Linda Sansour, who I am shocked is still in America at all, Hassan Piker, and the Palestinian DSA, that's Democrat Socialists of America. They are not Democrats. They have consumed the Democratic Party. They are really part of Progressive International, or otherwise known as European Socialism International. Center for American Progress is the hub here, and the Sanders. But the Democrat Socialists of America are not Democrats. They are Marxist revolutionaries who do not believe in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, borders, policing, or anything else. And of course, they have captured New York City. And so they had a big event with Linda Sansour playing the main role and talking about this. And of course, the woman that is running, that is being supported, the Democrat Socialist of America, that they said would be the first Palestinian in New York Assembly. Basically, she's talking about how her father was picked up from ICE for organizing, and Sansour helped them get out. Whatever the case may be, what we are dealing with is, her name is Evan Kawas, and essentially, this is what they are doing. The Muslim Brotherhood and CAIR have teamed up with, of course, Democrat Socialists of America to push, essentially, the totalitarian idea of a one-party, no-dissent future in America that is devoid of any kind of essentially other party or opposition or whatever you want to call it. It is a very dangerous time, and it is going unabated. This is part of their big event. Take a look. This is the same woman outside in New York City running her event. Here you go.
Good Palestine is under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up.
All over the world are finding a way to shut down Zionist products, Zionist economy, and it has huge support. What do we do?
Okay, so that's the middle of Times Square in New York City. Friends in New York City, please understand, you are a target on a grand scale on purpose, by design. Your leadership has failed you dramatically since they allowed the entire cheating apparatus to go legal. And California and New York are in very bad shape, very dangerous right now, and will continue this summer. As I told you, the Summer of Love 2.0 was planned a long time ago. The whole No Kings thing is a long-term game, straight out of the same people who've not been held accountable for the Transition Integrity Project. But they are planning on riots, and essentially every blue city this summer will be a target for uprisings, for Black Lives Matter / Free Palestine events that are going on. Of course, they're in tandem with this steady state is helping organize, again, No Kings and Indivisible, and all of this is to try to force Donald Trump, I believe, to have to call the Insurrection Act or something to stop the violence. And at that point, they will say, see, he's a dictator, and they will get what they want, which is the controlled demolition of America, with us fighting each other instead of banding together to save this nation. Good morning, Rob. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. And please remember to like and subscribe. Let's help get the message out. Whatever you can do for that, we would be most appreciative. I was telling a lot of folks, and I've mentioned it before, but we have a new Facebook, and so we're trying to build that up. Yeah, I think we're throwing up some clips there. We'll see if they let us stay. But if you go to Facebook, share the show or share some of our clips, we'll build that out. And that seems like a good way to reach people. Next week, we're going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma on Friday and Saturday. So that's the 19th and 20th.
Yeah.
We'll be streaming the Reawaken reunion tour.
Yeah.
And that will be, again, streamed all day on Friday and Saturday. There won't be a show Thursday and Friday, but we will have other shows. We won't have the new show. We'll be traveling.
I want you to know that we are, once again, like we used to do, doing a joint meet and greet with the Flyover Conservatives. So we will also, that will be the first time that my book will be on sale in person, and I will be signing it if people would like to buy it. But we are very excited to go back to Tulsa and see our family. We traveled the country for 3.5 years with some of the greatest people, and we haven't seen them in a year. So hopefully you guys will be joining us. You can still get tickets. I think it might be sold out, but at thrivetimeshow.com, you can get tickets there. It's name your own price, of course. As always, Clay makes it available to everyone, whether they can afford it or not. They can figure out a way to come, and we'd love to see you all. Anything else before I jump in?
I just want to mention, something we've mentioned yesterday, but our friend Kathy O'Brien was hit by, she is a warrior of the kind of the OG, she has been fighting the deep state for 40 years, right?
Yeah, she is one of the only survivors of MK Ultra. She was sold into the CIA MK Ultra program at 3 years old. She spent most of her life being a MK Ultra victim in the highest levels of the government, and thank God, Mark Phillips, also a high-level intelligence operative, I guess, saved her life. And she's written multiple books, but the two books about that are Transformation of America and Access Denied for Reasons of National Security. She was one of the people that ended up not only exposing MK Ultra, but supposedly ending it, though we all know that it just got rebranded into universities. Whatever the case may be, her and Kelly were reunited Thank God, no story. And they have been living there in the home that her and Mark built when they were on the run, essentially, when he helped her escape. And that house got hit with a direct hit by a tornado in Alabama. So what do you have? The good
I sent.
we
I
have
put it in the link.
Go for Kathy if you can help at all. She is an original whistleblower, so of course they tied her hands to making money or anything else all these years. So it's just book sales, and Mark passed away. So her and Kelly could use the help as we could. They are family to us. Kathy is probably my closest friend on planet Earth. And I pray for her and Kelly and Richard to have a quick healing, but the house is essentially destroyed. And Kathy and Mark built that house with their own hands at a time when they were literally on the run. So please help if you can. Anything else?
No, let's get into it.
Okie dokie. Well, speaking of jihad, the federal funded jihadist ideology on college campuses got a kick in the butt yesterday. The University of Michigan was given $1.3 billion in federal funding last year. Our Department of Education was about to hand them another $1.3 billion. I have no idea how schools are charging $60,000 a year. This school, University of Michigan, yes, at least. And they have giant billion-dollar endowments, and yet universities still get taxpayer money for God knows what. I'm not really sure. But University of Michigan's in a little trouble. We had arrests there yesterday. So it looks like what we have is a handful of Palestinian protesters, anti-Israel protesters, and essentially looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 University of Michigan students have been indicted for targeting university leaders, their families, local businesses with violent threats, attacks for cutting ties, people on campus, being freedom fighters, openly in line for Hamas. The charges threatening murder, federal witnesses threatening to poison fellow students, marked our city officials for death, crossing state lines to commit violence, intimidating victims, the use of chemical weapons to attack the homes of the Board of Regents of the University of Michigan, threatening to burn the homes down of university employees with their children inside. They consider themselves the citizen Al-Qaeda. Take a look at this. And again, what is going on in America? Can you throw that up on the screen, please, if you have a sec? So what is going on in America is we have all of these people have been indicted on those very serious, very dangerous charges. So you can take that down, Ben. I appreciate that. And at the same time, we are dealing with what is happening in New York City is now it looks like Mamdani and Hochul have decided that New York City not only will not cooperate with ICE, but that they are going to allow people in New York City to sue ICE. And they are also going to do everything they can to make sure that ICE is blocked from finding children or getting rid of criminals or rapists or murderers. No, they don't want the ICE there. They are calling it an ICE sanctuary city. Hochul is about to sign that. And like I said, in New York, beware. The Summer of Love 2.0, long planned. They were waiting, of course, for for one kid to stab another kid in the heart so they could gin up Black Lives Matter again and make another horrible crime into some kind of rising call for reparations and justice and Black Lives Matter, as if the first round didn't have billions of dollars raised that completely disappeared. But take a listen to Mullen talking about the new rules they want to pass in New York City and what the federal government is going to do about it.
It's why they're called sanctuary cities. Because of President Trump's leadership, we're going into those sanctuary cities. We have mayors like Mamdani in New York who want to say you're not welcome. As a mayor, he knows what's happening on the streets. He knows who he's harboring, and at this point in abating. By saying that we can't go operate, we're going to. We're going to go find the worst of the worst. We're going to rescue as many kids as we possibly
Yep.
can. We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to. It's because of President Trump's leadership.
Okay, so if you do not know, a lot of the blocking of ICE is stopping them from finding the children. Now we're told over 400,000 children came across that border between 2020 and 2024, unaccompanied minors. Now, of course, this goes back to Barack Obama's second term and DACA and this whole thing. And then, of course, all of us know that when Barack Obama signed on our nation to the nation state ending global governance model known as Agenda 2030, one of the tentacles of that was the open border. And of course, George Soros being the biggest influencer on the left, all the way back to when he wrote the 1993 NATO World Order document, which turned the NATO into an endless war for profit machine. We have had nonstop border chaos. And the Trump administration has announced that they have found so far 146,000 migrant children who went missing under Biden. They estimate now that Biden's administration, Mayorkas, with the help of Samantha Power at the USAID and Amy Pope at the United Nations Immigration, and Mayorkas, and behind the scenes, Cass Sunstein, Samantha Power's husband and former law professor of Obama and protector of Obama, wrote all this legislation to essentially, for any reason, any way, whatever, come through the border, stay forever, and end America with Cloward Piven strategy and a total and complete destruction of any kind of unifying culture. So where we are now is there are still 300,000 essentially estimated children being trafficked, labor trafficked, God knows what worse, mind controlled somewhere in some labs, who knows. But they're investigating reports that some of these kids obviously have been raped and sexually abused 600 or 700 times. That's one child. And they don't care who you are. I don't care if you have kids, you don't have kids. I don't care if you're a liberal. I don't care if you're independent, Democrat, or Republican. We are coming to find these children and arrest you, is what they're saying. And again, the major centers where these kids are supposedly being sex trafficked are New York City, Chicago, and Los Angeles, which shouldn't surprise anyone.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there, but I will have this in my daily news wrap-up. And, folks, I don't understand. It baffles me how these people in these sanctuary cities protect this filth like that. I don't get it. Are votes for Democrats that important that they sacrifice children? It's got to be demonic. It's got to be. Democrats are demonic. Okay? Prove to me they're not. Some of the things that they support, some of the things that they back, some of the things that they don't want to happen, like, arresting criminals, like, deporting people that have committed rape, assault, murder. They don't want that? Okay, so prove to me that they are not demonic. Let me click on this Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Mel K.
Decided that New York City...
Okay, this is the video I shared with you. Let me make sure I do have this in my... Yep, there we go. All right, so I got that in there for sure. That'll be the first one to play. But let me jump back here and remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you here are videos that come directly from the producer. I've got the links to the videos here in the description box, as well as the links to the producer's channel, so you can go check out information, other information that they might have. Let me copy these chats, these great live chats that we've had tonight, into a comment. Close that out. So this is how you make a comment. You just put some information in that box and click the green button and watch. Whoa! There it is. It's like magic. I'm telling you. It's amazing. All right. The videos that I've shared with you tonight are videos that I have posted here on Murtech.com. What I have over here's the Mel K video that I shared with you. Right down here is Robert Gouveia. that I shared with you. There we are. So this is all information that comes directly from the producers. I have the link to Murtech.com in the description box. Oh, excuse me, all great information, no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Now, I'd like to share all of it with you, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my Murtech Daily News Wrap-Up, where I have, says 28 videos here in my playlist, and about 10 or 11 hours worth of great information. We'll start off with the Mel K show, let you finish up with that. We have a ton of other information in here. But go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, maybe a glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15, 20 minutes. Let me get this set up in Rumble Studio. But before we take off, I do want to share some information with you from Rumble Premium. And then we'll go ahead and call it quits.
This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversation or censor opinions on COVID. But they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They don't get much of it. Watching our show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight, and if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO when you purchase an annual subscription. Go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, we are just happy if you watch us on Rumble.
All right, there you have it, folks. So I do want to say thank you for spending your time here with me this evening. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.